Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Gaming Professions and Careers. I'm excited today because this is going to be the first episode of season two. Technically, it would be episode number 7, but we took a short break, and that break would be just like skipping one episode. But here we are again with season 2. Our first guest in season 2 is MegamanNG. MegamanNG has a YouTube channel with 43K subscribers. So we decided to, for season 2, we decided to interview and talk to more people who are sort of rising stars. They have worked very hard. They are making progress, and they don't have tons of subscribers, but they're getting there. They are in that transition, and I believe their story, they're in the middle of that transition, and I believe their stories are very interesting, and it has a lot of lessons for us. All right, so I'm gonna turning this to you, MegamanNG. So I'm gonna call you NG. Hello, NG. Welcome.
Welcome. It's just a big pleasure, even for me. I'm really excited.
All right. So Angie, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, what is your channel about? So not a lot of audience might
I know.
might
I
know.
know.
So yeah. Thank you.
My YouTube channel is devoted to pretty much gaming. I've been doing this for 15 years since September of 2006. I've endured many highs and many lows. More lows than highs, if any indication, but I always get there. I always do. I have a passion, a drive to basically entertain people. Even if I can entertain one person, it's good enough for me.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I love that. I love that intro. Uh, so can you tell us a little bit about like what is your niche?
Well, my niche is pretty much whatever comes to mind, mostly like fighting games, RPGs, platformers, anything that piques my interest. I mostly cover it without delay, and it has helped quite a lot.
Okay, that's really interesting to learn about your strategy. Could you please tell us what do you currently do? Is content creation on
Currently,
YouTube
right
slash
now,
Twitch?
I'm mostly on YouTube. I used to have a Twitch, but ever since I was pretty much banned in 2019, I never looked back. I felt free, to be honest, because Twitch continues to get more downhill every day.
Okay, so we're gonna get back to that story later on. I believe you have some interesting things to tell us
Oh,
about
I have a
that.
lot to say because
Okay.
my journey was never a pretty one. It was never a pretty
Okay. Okay. That's what I love about having you on this show, because and I believe your story can inspire a lot of people and teach them a lot of lessons. So
one.
do you mind telling us like what do you do in your real life? It's like general. Can you
Well,
like
most of my time is mostly devoted to helping my family. And I've been
okay.
doing whatever I can too, since even now I'm still looking to find a job because probably after so many years, as much as I enjoy being on YouTube, it continues to get more difficult, especially
I
for
see.
creators that want to make a name for themselves. They mostly get overshadowed by others.
I see. That's 100% understandable, and that's why it's difficult. So a lot of a lot of times the difficulty of being a content creator would get overshadowed by success of top names. Like if someone wants to start doing this, they might not know that it's very difficult. They might only start analyzing uh, like Mr. Beast numbers, and they will be like,
I've heard
"Oh,
of Mr.
I'm
Beast.
I'm
He's
gonna
all right.
go there. I'm gonna go there in a
Nah,
year or
it's
two."
cool.
Yeah. So when and how did you start
I started
doing this?
way back in YouTube's beginnings, like back when YouTube was just a site that where you would be able to broadcast yourself. Because I always remember that motto. It was around like 2006, 2007, where I pretty
Uh-huh.
much just started uploading video game videos at random. One of the first videos that I did was basically on like Chrono Trigger, one of the best RPGs ever for the SNES. I sort of like
Okay.
doing these random 10-minute videos, and it went pretty well, and it kind of snowballed from there. It basically, I decided to do like other games too, like Super Mario All Stars. Trying to remember what else I did. 2008, like random stuff like RPGs and name it. I wasn't even a very talkative person back then because I didn't have a mic. It wasn't until about like 2012 where I decided to do commentary. It kind of went as well as you expected. And I'm
Well,
trying to improve on that because it's been like 10 years since then. A
I
lot has
see.
changed.
I see. But I believe you have a very cool voice for, especially for voiceovers.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm also kind of expressive because sometimes I like to really express, which
okay,
is why
that's
many
really
of the
good.
videos that I do, I always like having a different feel for the voices. When I voice different characters, I'd have like a different feel. It allows me to give me more leeway, more freedom, more way to
Hmm.
express myself in a manner that is like appropriate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really good. That's your niche. Yeah, that's I love that. I love that. So, currently, how often do you play video games per day slash per week or per
Well,
month?
I mostly like play like 2 to 3 hours a day. I'm trying to limit that at least because with how much time there is nowadays, since I mostly have much of my time devoted to myself, I just limit my time carefully. I mostly like play video games during the afternoon or the evening. Sometimes it takes like 2 to 3 hours. Other times it could be 4 hours.
Okay.
But overall, I'm just more focused on trying to like improve my health mentally
Okay.
because yeah, because like I said, gaming is sometimes an escape from the harshness of what's going on in the real world.
Yeah.
And I need something like that.
We call it escapism. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So, and also we will talk about the health side and work-life balance aspect of it later on. But like these 2 3 hours per day that you would spend, is it all dedicated to content creation or no?
Well,
Like
I mostly
you would,
spend like 2 hours just trying to record the footage I need so that I can edit and have it up on YouTube. Sometimes much of my other extra time afterwards is just to play games, just to at least relax and be at ease.
yeah, yeah. I totally get it. I totally get it. And this is kind of very interesting because you have to manage even like gaming. Like I would assume it's like how athletes would do it. Like there are the times that they would spend and exercise to prepare for that tournament, but maybe there are times that they just exercise for the sake of exercising and keeping their body healthy. And I am pretty sure it's going to be similar. All right. So why did you decide to continue doing it? My question would pertains to why did you decide pertains to following gaming as a career. So what made you want to do this?
I don't have any other reason why I do it. I just do it for the sake of it. I just do it just to have fun. That to me is all that matters. Back
To
then, I
have
didn't.
fun? Okay.
I thought that maybe I would be able to do it just to make a name for myself. But with how things have changed so much over the past few years, I
Uh-huh.
just realized that I will never be as successful. And to me, that's okay. I just want to entertain people, and that to me is enough.
Okay. Okay. So so do you do you believe that gaming as a career is going to slowly die? Is that
Sometimes, yeah, because it's like, how do I put this? Because gaming can at a career can and will drain you at times because you're expected to have stuff up that would become either later or in the next day, and you're forced to have to work constantly just to have the video footage needed so that way you could have it up and it repeats again and again. It becomes
yeah.
a cycle, and sometimes you could get sick of it.
Yeah. That's totally understandable. So actually I mean it's getting interesting because you are one of the very few people who are saying these stuff that like okay, maybe the market is becoming oversaturated with streamers and content
Yes.
creators, and maybe it's getting more difficult to make a name out there. um But what else do you want to tell us about uh, your journey? Like, um, you definitely have been through some uh, roadblocks, like very
There
difficult
were
ones.
there
And
were many roadblocks that I endured in my journey.
okay,
One of
do you
them,
want
for
to?
example,
Okay,
yeah, I want to
sure.
talk about it because I'd have a lot to say. There were many roadblocks that I had to endure on the journey. Like one
Mhm.
time in 2012, some big name former YouTuber figured that he would like ruin my reputation by basically calling me out on Twitter and social media. It was like not a pleasant thing. Being
Okay.
humiliated by someone bigger, like it was pretty much like how cancel culture is nowadays. I could be wrong. Like I said, I could be wrong. But back then, it was like the worst thing in my life. And I was like, and I would say to myself,
2012. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't a pretty thing. And I've told it about it many times to my friends, and they believe me. But when that day happened, I felt really vulnerable. I felt alone. I felt like no one would want to work with me. But then I realized, why should I have to worry what they think? So I just focused instead on myself. And that's what I did since then.
I totally understand. So one of the things that I see a lot is cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And that has been worrying me, and not just me, but also like people in the scientific community are very worried about cyberbullying because like um I mean, it's we want to talk about games, but really, Wall Street Journal found a report that even Facebook was trying to hide the fact that Instagram has a negative impact on, you know, young girls' life, attitude, and health, because sometimes they get cyberbullied, sometimes, you know, they won't feel confident about their own body, and it can happen to guys too. Like you see a bunch of good things on social media, or maybe someone would go and destroy your reputation. um Even now, like you might say something to your friend, and then they might take a screenshot of it and share it with the world, and suddenly you will be the worst person on the planet. So yeah, social media is becoming very scary. I totally understand you. I'm sorry that has happened to you. Even if you were wrong, if I don't know what was the full story there, but even if you were wrong, I don't believe such conversations should get dragged to social media at all. It's not right. But other than that, tell us about your roadblocks, right? So you definitely have 43K subscribers who believe that you have a talent, right? You create something valuable. That's why they follow you, right? And
That's
whenever
right.
you put something out, 1,000 people would come, watch, write something there. So there are people who believe in you, right? And tell us about your roadblocks or your obstacles in the process, right? In these past few years.
Well, 2012 was one roadblock. There was another that was around like 2015 or so
Uh-huh.
when I had to deal with like cyberbullying and harassment. And it was on Twitch of all things. The worst part was
Okay.
that Twitch did absolutely nothing. That's the sad thing. The sad thing is that Twitch did very little. And it kind of further proved that Twitch never did care for their streamers unless they made the money. And I didn't make money from Twitch at all. I was just mostly streaming for fun. Not to mention, this said person would just basically make multiple Twitch accounts for the purposes of, well, harassment. And it
Okay.
got to the point where I actually did get banned for a time. I was unbanned afterwards, but then the harassment just kept on going until 2019 when I decided to just say screw it and just get myself banned so that way I don't have to deal with this anymore. Because
You,
truth is,
mhm.
Twitch was a mess. They did
So
nothing.
what
Even when
was
I
the
tried to
story? What was the story
basically it was
there?
some dumb idiot stalker who would just basically harass me and saying that I'm not worth anything to anyone. And it didn't end there. It didn't end there. It was just
I'm
it
sorry to
was
hear that. You know what? I had one student telling me that in my class. So, um, I'm not gonna name
no,
him,
you don't have
but
to name anything. I prefer anonymity if anything.
yeah,
Like
and
to
he
protect others.
he told me that he used to stream on Twitch, but he stopped doing that. He was my student. He's actually 24-year old, and he told me that he stopped doing that because people would bully him on Twitch and tell him that his voice is funny. And I mean, his voice was fine. I was like, why people are just saying these things? I just don't understand. And it seems like now that you said that happened to you on Twitch, um, it's kind of interesting because someone else said the same thing to me. And now
Mm-hmm.
that makes me think that um, Twitch might not be a safe environment as much as they advertise it. I know YouTube is a lot better in terms of
Yeah, YouTube is a lot
algorithms
better because
because
ever since I got banned again a second time in 2019, I mostly been streaming on YouTube. But I mostly
yeah.
stream when I feel like it because at least the good news is that I was part of their affiliate partner program and I at least got my second paycheck before they decided to give me the boot. At least I don't have
Okay.
to worry about that because since then I honestly felt free. I felt free
Okay.
because Twitch was not a place for me. And I wanted to make sure people know that because Twitch doesn't care about their users. They only care about those that make the money. And if you want to enjoy like streaming and whatnot, it's better you do it on YouTube because at least YouTube has provided the means to help their users when they have to deal with stuff like this.
That's really good to know. And for our listeners, for our audience, please understand that if you're thinking about gaming as a career, these challenges could be yours too. Uh, there could be some people with some issues, right? Nobody knows, who might have some problems in their own personal lives, and they want to, target and channel all of that hate towards someone else. And you have to be aware that there are some challenges out there. Okay, so how did you manage to rise above this in NG?
I pretty much said that this one person is nothing but a speck of dust. And I had to deal with this person for years. Worst part is
Okay.
I don't even know who he is. Because if I did knew, I would make sure I would put a stop to it permanently. But that never happened.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
then, I just shrugged it off and just focused on my work. Eventually, YouTube started improving in terms of helping their users when it came to like streaming and whatnot. Not to mention the fact that with recent problems that happen on YouTube would create like several like celebrity creators would be mass downvoted, and YouTube decided to work on a system to pretty much remove those outright. It did
Yeah.
kind of became a benefit for me because at
Yeah.
least with that, YouTube can pretty much get rid of that because if it was like automated or botted, it goes
Yeah.
away. I don't have to
Yeah.
deal with that issue.
So
Oh,
one of the big things that Google is doing, and I really like it, is that they are working very hard to prevent people from creating secondary accounts, like multiple accounts. It's getting better. Microsoft has done that. Google is working on it. They have made a lot of improvements. So it is almost becoming very difficult for people to, I mean, if they get banned, to come back, it becomes difficult. And I think there's a benefit to that. And the benefit is that if they have so much hate for someone, they should take it somewhere else.
yeah,
Um,
it's unhealthy.
it's unhealthy. That's right. That's the right word. It's unhealthy. It's not going to help anyone. And sometimes, like, I read people feedback on YouTube, and I'll be like, okay, so how this person can use this comment to improve the content for you as an audience. I mean, why do you even spend the time to write these things? You could do something more productive. I don't know, watch a movie or anime or something, you know. But I think it is what it is, but hopefully it would get better. Tell me more about your obstacles. So you had a bump in 2012, another bump in 2015.
And then bump came in 2016 when a Japanese gaming company decided to take my channel down, all because I did story mode of a game that they outright said don't do it. But I did it
Okay.
anyway because I had fun and I don't regret it. Because back in
Okay.
2014, I did story mode of Blaze Blue Chrono Phantasma, and it
Okay.
was fun. It helped me get like a bigger audience. And then
Uh-huh.
when the extended version came, I did that too. And that pretty much got their feathers ruffled and they just took down many of the videos. I was
I
able to
see.
appeal to hopefully tell them to stop and I would delete the rest. But all
You
that
know,
did was derail my channel severely. And since then, I've been recovering slowly but
okay.
surely.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so what you said, like, early on, I remember a lot of video game developers were not fine with people doing that, but later they realize they are making a huge mistake, because when you play the game, others who are watching the game actually might want to go and download the game and play it. This is
Exactly.
something that a lot of uh, you know, especially AAA developers realized, and they stopped doing that. They were like, okay, play our games. Just in the YouTube algorithm, they started incorporating like the select the name of the game that you're playing, because
Yeah.
that would sort of channel traffic to that game, to those tags and all. So the game would receive attention, they
Hmm.
would sell more, and sometimes like in through affiliate marketing, even some of the YouTubers and streamers would even get discount codes for their fan base, and they would go and buy the game. So I think you were ahead of the curve, what we call it as being
I
ahead of the
was,
curve.
and I
And
honestly don't regret it.
and sometimes being ahead of the curve would hurt people. That's real, like in all respects, not just in the gaming, but like if you are wearing new fashion, new clothing, a lot of people might be like, okay, this person is crazy and all, but um in reality you are just ahead of the curve and others are catching up. That's really interesting. What else happened to you?
Well, then there, aside from the incident in 2016,
Uh-huh.
things kind of stagnated. Made no better was that YouTube had to deal with the apocalypse. You remember that, right? You
Dealing with
remember when
what?
YouTube was basically under heavy scrutiny, when ads started appearing on content that was deemed offensive, like, and I mean
Yeah.
very offensive. So these
Yeah.
companies threatened to boycott YouTube unless they do something about it. And
Yeah.
YouTube, being YouTube, decided to implement a new system where they would have to either make it monetizable or basically like ad unfriendly, which is ridiculous. And all that did was make things harder for a lot of us creators.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hit by that many times. Like, many of my videos were deemed advertiser unfriendly because of YouTube's own actions. Made no better is that YouTube has a habit of putting creators under the bus. It's
Yeah.
been proven fact many times,
Yeah.
especially with recently around 2019 and 2020, when YouTube basically violated some sort of Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Basically, they got in
Yeah.
trouble with the FCC, and like
Yeah.
YouTube always do, they would like pretty much put us under the bus and then make us suffer for it, all because
Yeah.
they want to please advertisers.
Yeah. 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 I totally understand. And it's really funny that you've gotten stuck in some of most controversial issues that YouTube had to deal with. It's really interesting. And it's kind of hilarious, I would say. Maybe it wasn't for you, but I feel like you're sort of an incident magnet, like you have a
I have
karma
no
for.
kind of, if I was an incident magnet, I don't even know if I would still be doing this, to be honest.
Well, you are certainly, my friend. You're passionate about what you do. That's
Exactly. I'm
why, yeah,
passionate.
that's what that's why you keep going. Even, I would say, especially with 2012 and 15 bullying thing that happened to you, you must be very passionate to continue doing it.
I was.
Mm.
I wasn't going to let one insignificant little speck of dust put me down. I wasn't going to let
Yeah,
some person who thought it was okay to be anonymous and hide behind multiple accounts just to harass me. It wasn't going to stop
yeah,
me. I just kept going. I didn't
yeah,
care.
yeah. And you would just let them get tired and go on their way. Um, this is something that a lot of influencers do. They would just ignore, and then, but of course, newer ones come along. But it is what
I
it is,
know.
right?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's life.
Yeah. So, do you have someone who inspires you or inspired you? Um,
I don't really have that much in terms of inspiration. I just basically just did content because I thought it would be gaming content because I thought it would be just fun. That's all.
okay.
I
Did
wasn't
you?
inspired by anyone. I was just like motivated after seeing other people do it. I just thought I would get into the foray.
Uh huh. Do you follow a certain people currently these days, like a certain streamer,
I
YouTuber?
follow several creators. Yes, I follow many. I
Okay.
could
So
list a few examples.
yeah,
One of
which
them
one is
is
your favorite?
if I were to choose, that would be a difficult choice, to be honest, because I follow so many. It's hard to decide. But if I were to choose, I would probably say a YouTuber named Some Call Me Johnny, who has a series devoted entirely on analyzing and discussing about certain games,
Okay.
like the Versus series, as it were.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, that's good
It
to
is.
know. Yeah. Um, so w- we talked about your insight about gaming industry. You're saying it is becoming more competitive. Sometimes it is becoming so hard that would make you want to give up, but you have to be really truly passionate about doing what you do to stick around and continue doing it. Uh, and let's talk a little bit about the social aspect of it. I know a lot of people when they start playing video games, especially maybe back then,
Mm-hmm.
tell us what your parents or family thought of it, like you dedicating your life to gaming and content creation.
It wasn't really much of a life. It's just that they knew I liked gaming and they just stood by me on that. Even though I was still in college doing this, because I was still making gaming content even when I was trying to get a degree, which I surprisingly did. Sadly,
Okay.
that I'm trying to find a real job and it hasn't given me much luck.
Okay. Okay. I see. So, what about your friends? Do you think like uh, playing video games has affected your social circle or social relationships?
It hasn't really affected me all that much. Although I have found someone that I truly care for that really does like what I do.
Okay, that's really good to know. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
So, in general, do you feel like the society's how society view gamers? Do you feel it has changed since 2008 that you've started
Yes, it
gaming?
has changed and changed quite a lot.
Okay, so what is your take on that?
I feel that gaming has changed, but sometimes in a bit more of a positive and negative way. On one hand, seeing gaming as sort of like a career is a nice thing because they actually get to focus on people who have a passion and a drive.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, the negative is that with all these politics and all that, it just attracts the wrong kind of people. And then they would decide to just do something really random or dumb just to get clicks.
I see. Yeah, I totally feel you, and I really have problem with this culture in which like um younger generations would do anything to you know, as my own advisor used to say that today's currency is attention has turned into currency because like people's value is defined by the number of clicks or likes or hearts
Mm-hmm.
that they obtain. So
Yeah.
attention becomes a currency for people, for their reputation, for their influence. And I'm very worried for the new generations because sometimes very, you know, not so sharp or not so mindful people would receive tons of attention and they would make some recommendation like go drink something that is totally against your health or do something that is totally against your health that you know and that would make a lot of people suffer because they would pay attention to that certain person and but that person is not a legitimate person to state things
Mm-hmm.
or to guide people on the right path. So it's almost like we have doctors, physicians, scientists, engineers out there who have dedicated their life into doing things that would help people. And then suddenly, maybe a celebrity would say something against science, against knowledge, and millions of people follow them. And then they would stop doing the right thing, the logical thing. And it is, if you want to see it at a micro level, yes, it's out there and it's very terrifying. That terrifies me
Yeah, it
that
is.
younger
It is
generation.
terrifying, and I'm worried for the new generation. I'm worried for the next generation.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, that's, I totally feel you. I totally feel you. um Even like sometimes my editors, I of course I don't have time to edit these, so my editors would work on these and sometimes they're like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. We would get a lot of likes and stuff like that. Because I do, occasionally do reviews on different games, some nostalgia. I did some Sega games in which like I reviewed them using like real-time measures and stuff like that. It's something that I'm passionate about. They're like, oh, let's do this. You would get tons of likes. I'm like, I can't do that. It's not my thing. It's not my type to do those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? And thank you for raising that concern. Um, all right. Do you think like being a gaming content creator is almost as being a social media influencer?
It's
Or is there
somewhat, yeah.
different?
I
Okay.
think it is in some way because you're pretty much representing yourself when you're playing a certain product. And you have to be in a manner that's pretty much respectful. You can't just be like somebody who just playing a game and then you rage out like a maniac saying that it sucks and all that. Don't buy it, yada, yada, yada.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes when you play games, you have to have an open mind. You have to see what are the good things, the bad things, and then you make your overall judgment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I see that. Um, Tell us a little bit about the physical challenges, health and wellness challenges. So, of course, we talked about bullying a little bit. That definitely has affected your emotions. I'm sure you've been through some mental pressures too.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is.
but
It can be a challenge, especially when you have to like get the stuff in on time. Now,
uh-huh,
helped by the fact that you need the right technology to do it. Most of my time, I mostly just record things on a laptop because
yeah,
I'm a laptop person,
uh-huh,
and laptops are not cheap. Because if something does happen, you're pretty much boned. Trust me,
yeah,
most of the time I have my laptops under warranty. So if something does happen, I just send
yeah,
it in, they fix it, and I get it back. And
mhm,
it happened to me before. It was pretty much like last year when my laptop, after like 7 months, I had it for 7 months. It just decided to give me a BSOD due to a hardware error. And it probably was due to the SSD because I didn't realize I had an extra drive to store stuff in. So after I got it repaired, I pretty much record on the SSD without like little issue. And then I move everything to the HDD, like Remux, render, everything, etc. And that would be that.
yeah, I see.
Yep.
So, everyone, you're listening to Gaming Professions and Careers Season 2, Episode 1. We're going to take a short break, um, and we'll be back and we'll continue our conversation with NG on physical challenges, health, and wellness as a gamer and game content creator. All right.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
All right, people, we are back from the break. So, again, you're listening to Gaming Professions and Careers. Our special guest is NG. We have had some interesting conversation about his journey, his ups and downs in the process. We have talked about very important concepts that is part of being a game content creator. We talked about cyberbullying. We talked about rules and regulations, platform rules, like advertisement, and a lot of other things. And right now, we are talking about physical wellness, the physical challenges, staying healthy, and things like that. Uh, have you ever felt that you are, NG? Have you ever felt that you are addicted to playing video games? If so, maybe you were at, have you felt that maybe at certain point in time, or do you feel it now, or maybe in the past you felt it? If so, how did you manage that?
Well, basically, there was a time where I would spend like hours playing video games from morning to night, and it really wasn't good for my health and my well being, especially for my sight, because it gave me all these bags under my eyes, and I want to fix that. So I decided to spend less time playing video games and more time focusing on, well, myself. Why most of the time I just go to the gym, enjoy exercising, and being able to eat a healthier lifestyle because having to sit your butt down for hours just to play a game is just not good.
Yeah.
And and that's why most times I just want to just stand up, stretch, take a break, do something else, something to get your mind off it. And it kind of helped.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So a lot of people, when they're sitting behind a computer, they forget like about their health. Like they have to continuously stand up and take a break. So some people forget that, but I'm glad that you mentioned it. So this is very important to keep in mind that being a gamer and game content creator, you have to continuously be active. And thank you for mentioning that. So apart from that, how would you take care of your mental health?
Mostly, I just basically like turn off anything. Like I will just turn off the game after I finish like a session, like that would last about an hour or two, and just basically do something else. Go outside, exercise, that sort of thing.
Okay. So do you read any special book or watch any special series, or is there any
I
special
mostly
type of
watch. I mostly
exercise?
do something. I mostly just watch something. I mostly like watch stuff on TV. I sometimes would just take a nap just to like cool down my brain and
Uh-huh.
just feel at ease.
Feel at ease.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's good to know. That's good
Yes,
to
it
know.
is. It is.
So, yeah, taking care of your mental health is very important, especially like sitting in front of computer for that many hours. It's I know it's challenging for a lot of people, but for our audience who are listening, as NG mentioned, it's very important. So now we want to talk about the fun part, and the fun part being financial viability of gaming as a career. So we had a little chat before we start recording with NG. So do you mind telling our audience, like with 43K subscribers on YouTube, what is your you know estimated weekly earning, or maybe your estimated monthly
It's
earning?
it's more monthly, and it mostly depends. It mostly fluctuates by basic of ad revenue.
Okay.
That's basically how YouTube was. But before all that, before I think after 2014, I would have made a lot. I would make a lot of money. I would
Okay.
make a lot, and those were some better times. Nowadays, it's mostly around 300, 350 a month. And sometimes I got to save up that money in case I want to get something really good, like a new computer or something. And it
Uh-huh.
takes like months. And considering
Yeah.
with how YouTube is currently, I have to find other means of boosting my income. That's why many creators have to have a Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
and basically with my Patreon, I just put like I have like various different pledges, and depending on how much they pledge, I would be able to provide. With the highest being that they can request me to do any game they want me to cover, and
Mm-hmm.
it has happened like in 3 instances.
Uh-huh. And like, do you have like people who continuously donate to you through Patreon?
Yes, and sometimes through PayPal because I also set up a PayPal donation link.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get some donations. Other times I don't. But
Yeah.
regardless, I'm thankful all the same because even sometimes a little as a dollar can be enough.
Yeah. 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 I totally understand. So you're listening to NG talking about making 3 to 350 per month with 43K subscribers. And how often do you upload? Is it like weekly or every other day? What's
What?
your
What?
schedule for
Well, my
for
schedule, I mostly for like what for when I make videos and whatnot.
yeah,
I
when you
mostly do
upload?
that around the afternoon, around like 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Okay, do you
I
do
would
it
just spend like
daily, like on YouTube?
sometimes daily. I just record like 2 hours because I would make sure I would have like footage for not only one day but also the next day. I do
Okay.
this so that way I can balance myself. And I don't want to overwork myself because that can lead to burnout. And there was an instance where it did. I'm trying to
Okay.
limit myself, not only for my own sake, but for the sake of my laptop. Because ever since I had it
Yeah.
repaired, I've been taking steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And
Hmm.
thankfully, it hasn't. I even had to spend my own money just to get like an extended coverage. So if something does happen, I could just send it in to get it repaired.
Yeah.
And it has helped, but there's always this worry that something's going to happen and then everything comes crashing down, and you don't want to let your viewers or your fans down if you can't even provide the content on time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally understand. So one thing that I do is that I know I can upload daily or even every other day. I can do like once a week. And that kind of gives me the ease of mind because like I feel that I'm a month ahead of publishing content because it's like 4 videos and I release one per week. But I know for the people who are hardcore or they are trying to uh, adopt the strategies to boost their channel, it's like they have to do it every other day or maybe every day, and that could be tough. I understand. So, do you see yourself going back to Twitch? Like, if I would assume that you would have a lot, like, do your fans request that you would start doing Twitch or no?
Nah, I've given up on Twitch. Leaving Twitch was my own decision.
Okay.
I'd rather stream on YouTube where I don't have to deal with harassment and the like. Sure, it's
Uh-huh.
fun being able to stream, but with the fact that Twitch would rather not protect their users from those that like to harass and whatnot, it's just not
Uh-huh.
worth it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you have are you also doing Facebook? I know like some people are doing
Nah, I'm
Facebook.
not doing Facebook. I'm not. No.
Okay. So you don't see that platform as being
Nah,
competitive.
nah, no thanks. I'm just not interested.
I see.
It's not
I
that it's a
see.
bad thing. It's just that I've been more focused on YouTube than any other.
Uh-huh. It's your strategy. Mm-hmm.
Yep, it is.
Mm-hmm. I see. And what would your fan expect from you, like in terms of uh do they give you requests for creating special content out, would they drive your ideas or you would simply just um plan things by yourself?
I
Like
just
how
mostly
how
plan things by myself because I'm one person who can only do so much. I have to
uh-huh.
be the one that has to plan things accordingly, decide
Okay.
what's to come, etc. It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
that's the thing about being a creator. You're just a one man army.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I totally understand. I totally understand. So we are almost towards the end of our conversation with NG. Normally, when we are through and we are getting towards the end, uh, I would ask a couple of questions from our guest. And the first one is, looking back, would you select gaming as a career? Would you be a content creator or would you decide to go in a different route? Like go back to 2005 or 2008, like when YouTube started taking off. So, what would you say?
I would simply say that if you want to choose gaming as a career, do so, but make sure you have a backup plan on the side because this isn't just like you just make videos and be successful. Oh no, stuff like
Yeah,
this takes time. It takes a lot of time, and if
yeah,
you're willing to put the investment, I say go for it. Just be prepared for what comes ahead, and always make sure you have a backup plan if it doesn't work out.
yeah. Having a backup plan. So it's really interesting because when I was having this conversation with Ron, who is a retired professional esport player, he kind of said a similar thing, like have a backup plan. Like if you want to go at it, go at it. But if it didn't work, have a backup plan. So yeah, thank you for sharing it with us. And
You're welcome.
what is the most important advice for people who like to pursue gaming as a career? If you want to give them just one, I mean, you can give them more, but what is the most important one?
For someone who wants to make gaming as a career, as a content creator, the most important advice I could give you, don't worry about numbers or views or any of that. If you're only going to be in it just for like views and subscriptions, then it isn't for you. But if you're in it because you love what you do and you're passionate about it, that's good enough. That's one of the advice I can give you because I've been doing this for 15 years and I've endured a lot, many highs, many lows, but all throughout, it was a passion that I enjoyed and I don't regret it.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that has been one of the greatest advices that we have had on the show so far. Like follow your passion. it's all about passion. Just do whatever you love. And it seems, I mean, to me, it's clear that you love what you're doing because uh, you've been around doing it for so many years, even though you've had some terrible things and some horrible experiences. But I'm sure our audience can learn something from it. And of course, they would start their career uh, if they're passionate about it, uh, as much as you are. All right, all right, everybody. We have MegamanNG. I would drop the link to his YouTube channel. If you like, please subscribe to his channel, and I'll put all of his information in the description, a short bio, and the links. NG, do you have any closing or final words that you would like to share with the audience?
Nah, it's just that I really, really enjoyed this. I really
Okay.
did. I want to
Okay.
make this work out. I really do. And this is
Well,
just the perfect opportunity.
I'm glad that you joined our show and talked to our did this interview with me, and of course our audience would love it too. Thank you, and bye everyone. See you in the next episode.
Indeed.
Bye.
Peace out.